The last game against the Milwaukee Bucks, the Pistons put up a great fight and only lost by 2. However, in this past game, last night, the Pistons get blown out by 25 points and it didn't look good from the get-go. We'll talk about everything that went wrong in this game in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Locked On. So the Pistons lose by 25 points to the Milwaukee Bucks in this past game. Now, the game before that, they played them really well. They played them tough, played them hard all the way to the finish, and Cade looked spectacular that entire game. There's a different story tonight. Cade struggled shooting from the field. The Milwaukee Bucks put a really big emphasis on him defensively throughout the entire night. And Giannis from the get-go was just like, listen, I'm the best player in the world. And it kind of felt like he was kind of disrespected that they were in a close game with the Pistons last game. At least that's what it felt like. They came out and it was like, listen, you guys aren't going to be this close with us this game. We're just going to put our foots on your neck and let you guys know you guys are way beneath us. And that's what it felt like it did. And they should. They're a championship team. They just won the championship a few years ago. They may very well win the championship this year. They're undefeated this year. There's nothing to be too mad about for the Pistons if the Milwaukee Bucks come out and do that. They should be doing that, to be honest. And there's quite a few different things that we could talk about. But I see this reoccurring argument and thing being discussed amongst the Pistons community and this fan base. They're yelling at each other. They're arguing about this. And I just wanted to really talk about it. And it centers around Isaiah Stewart. So we'll get into everything else later in the podcast. We'll talk about everything else that happened within the game, some of the individual player performances. I really want to talk about Jane Ivey too later on. But let's get into this Isaiah Stewart thing I'm seeing from a lot of Pistons fans. So you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of Isaiah Stewart. And Isaiah Stewart has many flaws. And there's actually going to be a video I'm going to be breaking down on my Twitter tomorrow, breaking down a DHO that he just completely fumbled. I don't know how, like that I'm going to do that tomorrow. So my point is, Isaiah Stewart has many flaws. However, blaming this team's rebounding issue solely on him is wild behavior to do so. He had 10 rebounds this past game, okay? Now, do I think Stu's a fantastic rebounder? No. Do I think he's like Andre Drummond or something? No. Do I think he's Dennis Rodman or, even Steven Adams? Do I think he's like that? No, I don't think he's like that. But he's a fine rebounder. He's fine. But the Pistons' issue with allowing offensive rebounds and not securing defensive rebounds is not solely his It's not solely his fault. And it really shouldn't be. I'd say probably like 5% his fault, really, 10% his fault. There's times where other centers are just bigger than him and they just rebound over him. Yes, that happens on occasion. But that's not the big issue with why the Pistons are giving up so many offensive rebounds and can't secure enough rebounds. It's because no one else on the team even tries. And there was a moment in this past game against the Milwaukee Bucks where Isaiah Stewart, when I say he got switched out on the perimeter, had to contest I think it was like a floater attempt, and offensive rebound happens right behind him. He slaps the ground screaming at Saddiq Bey. And I absolutely feel him. I would be doing the exact same thing. And this is one of the things, if you guys watched the Pistons for years, going all the way back to when Andre Drummond was on the team, that was one of the things that happened a lot with Andre too, is that if you have a big guy if you want your big guy to contest shots, you want him to go after blocks at the rim, you want him to contest layups, floaters, switch out on the perimeter, all that kind of stuff, that big guy is going to get heavily frustrated when then you don't get the defensive rebound behind them. And that's going to then cause them not to go after the blocks now. They're not going to go after contesting shots. They're not going to want to switch in the perimeter because they know that if they do it, they're going to give up the offensive rebound behind them. And that happened a lot with Andre during his tenure here. And you can see Stu starting to get pissed off about it now. So it's not about Stu. It's about Bojan Bogdanovic. It's about Sadiq Bey. It's about Jaden Ivey. K does a fine job. He did a fine job this past game. He had 6 rebounds. But it's about Jaden Ivey getting out there. The guys who come off the bench. Isaiah Livers. Nerlens Noel. Heck, even Killian Hayes. Killian needs to be out there battling down there. Everyone else needs to help Isaiah Stewart because they're playing with Isaiah Stewart on the floor. They're going to play a switch defense because he's better at playing switch. He's better at going on the perimeter and guarding ball handlers than he is in like drop coverage or anything. He's not very good at that, but he is good as a switch defender. So he's going to be taken away from the basket a lot of the times. That's not his fault. The fact that Sadiq Bey, with how strong he is, can't box out and get a rebound, it's not his fault. The fact that Sadiq Bey, it looked like Isaiah Stewart was screaming at him for not making the right rotation when he went out to contest a shot, that's not Stu's fault. It's the fact that Bojan doesn't go out there and try to get rebounds. That's not his fault. The fact Jaden Ivey got 2 rebounds, that's not Stu's fault. Everyone else on the team has to help Isaiah Stewart rebound the basketball, especially if this is how the Pistons want to play defense with him. He's going to be away from the basket a lot of the time. And if you want Stu to attack shots at the rim, even when he is at the rim, if you want him to contest shots, if you want him to try to block shots, block layups, and if you want him to not end up like Andre Drummond towards the end of his time with the Pistons, where he basically was just like, I'm not doing this no more because every time I do it, you guys don't get the rebound behind me. You guys don't got my backside rotation. Screw that. I'm not doing this no more. That's basically what Andre's attitude ended up being. And it was, I mean, I couldn't blame him, but you wanted him to play defense. You wanted him to contest shots. And that's what Stu does well. So if eventually in the season you see Stu start to say, screw it, I'm not doing this no more. You guys, if you guys get beat, you guys get beat. That's not my problem. You guys give up layups, hey, that's not my problem. That's on y'all. If you guys start to see that happen with Stu, this is why. This is why. It's not because it's not Stu's fault that they can't get a rebound. And if that starts to happen, it won't be Stu's fault then. The rest of the team has to help a brother out. Like, come on, bro. You guys got to help him out. Especially with how much you're asking him to make up for you guys. He's helping you guys a ton defensively. And you guys know I'm not the biggest Stu defender, but he's covering for everybody else on defense. They're starting they are starting the worst defensive wing pairing possible in the NBA in Sadiq Bey and Bojan Bogdanovic. Jaden Ivey's a rookie. He's awful at defense, but that's fine you don't expect him to be good defensively. He's a rookie. But my point is, you're asking Stu to make up for everybody else being trash defensively. But you guys can't simply show some effort and help him out when he goes to help you guys out on defense and go get a damn rebound and box a guy out? Like, there was so many plays where I saw dudes didn't even jump off the ground. It was only Stu jumping off the ground. And like I said, I don't blame him at all for screaming at Sadiq Bey and slapping the ground. That you don't understand how annoying that is. If you play basketball, constantly trying to make up for everybody else, and then when you do go to make up for someone else, and they don't got your back consistently over and over and over and over and over, they don't got your back, that's probably the most frustrating thing that happens on a court. That would make me lose it. I would be spazzing on the court over and over if it was happening to me. So, listen, it's not Stu's fault. Again, I'll say this one more time. Is there times where he's just too small and the other guy's bigger than him, he just gets the rebound? Yes. But that's not the majority of the time why the Pistons aren't getting defensive rebounds. It's because no one else can help Stu. So I'm just warning you guys now. I'm warning it now. So in a few weeks or maybe a few months from now, you guys start to say, why isn't Stu going to contest shots? Why isn't Stu trying to go for blocks? Now he's not rim protecting. What's going on? I'm warning you guys now. If that starts to happen, this is why. This is why, because no one else is having his back. So I just had to talk about that, man. It's frustrating as someone who plays basketball, who played basketball their whole lives. I can feel why he's pissed. Dudes have to make the right rotations, man. Basketball is a team game. You can't have one guy bail you out on the defensive side. Everyone has to contribute. Everyone has to be in rotations. Everyone has to be trying, giving their max effort. Everyone has to be trying to box out. It can't just be, oh, we're just going to funnel him to Stu, and hopefully Stu not only blocks the shot, contests the shot, but then has a quicker second jump than Andre Drummond, and then also gets the defensive rebound. No, it can't. That's not going to happen. It's not possible. So expecting it to happen is dumb. And honestly, if I was Dwayne Casey, if it continued to happen, I legit would bench players for it, bro. I would bench someone for it. Because it's annoying. It's annoying. It's frustrating. It's going to result in Stu giving up on trying to contest shots. So it is what it is. Stop blaming Stu for that. There's other things you can blame Stu for. Trust me. I talk about it all the time. There's other things that Stu has faults and it hurts the team at. This is not one of them. He's being screwed by his teammates on the defensive side of the floor and on the glass. They need to help a brother out. Come on. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the other things that took place in this game that I want to obviously talk about and dive into. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, PrizePicks. So let's go ahead and take an example here. So during the Pistons game tonight, let's say a Lions game was going on. And real quick, I'm so mad that Hawkinson's not on the team. But either way, let's say the Pistons and Lions were playing tonight. I wanted to take the over on Cade Cunningham's points. I wanted to take the over on, let's say, Isaiah Stewart's rebounds. And then also I want to take the over on Jared Goff's passing yards and DeAndre Swift's rushing yards. Well, you can do that over at PrizePicks. You can do cross sports entries, which is what makes it so much fun for me. It's as simple as this. You pick 2 to 5 players to see if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection. You can win up to 10 times in your entry on any single entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projected numbers. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you can watch. Get ready for this long list. This includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. It's safe and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app. Go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports today. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. So the way that works is if you deposit $100, PrizePicks will then give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks gives you $50. As simple as that. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On and sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. That's PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made easy. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. The Pistons losing by 25 tonight. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I called on the last podcast. You guys remember. I said that I wouldn't be shocked if the Bucks came out and just squashed them. I wouldn't expect the Pistons to go out there continuously compete with championship contenders. That's why it was so cool and why I was so happy about the way they played last game against the Bucks, because that's going to be rare. It's not going to happen all the time. The Pistons could give max effort all they want, but if you're going to go against a championship team like that with the skill and the talent that the Pistons have, it doesn't matter. Not many times are you going to be able to play them close like that. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be tough to do. So I wasn't too shocked by the fact that it was a 25-point routing. What I am, I guess I shouldn't say shocked about, but something that's going to be just a reoccurring theme that I talk about on the podcast over and over, and you guys probably are going to get annoyed with it at a certain point, but trust me, I'm annoyed watching it. Real quick, like, I'm too busy watching what I'm about to talk about. I'm watching the Pistons lose by 20 points. I have to continually watch this every single time. Happen every time the Pistons run a DHO or run a screen. I'm about to start talking about it. Stay tuned. But I go on Twitter and I see a fantastic game going on with the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, which one do you think I'd rather be watching? You think I'd rather be watching a great game? Heck, you guys would probably rather watch a fun game like that. So it's annoying for me, too, to see this happen every single game. What I'm talking about is the Pistons' ineffectiveness of running DHOs. I don't understand. I truly don't understand how the team can be so inept at running a DHO. It's not. It requires skill, yes. Like, some guys are just better at running DHOs. Blake Griffin in his time with the Pistons, he was fantastic at running DHOs. Andre, he was great at running DHOs. They were really good screeners on the handoff, and they were really good passers out of it too, and really good rolling to the rim as well, obviously, all that. So they were good in the DHO. They were great. However, Stewart just isn't good at all at DHOs. And it's getting to a point where I don't know if it's just Stu. Like, it's getting to a point where it's so bad and it doesn't work so badly that I have to assume there's also some other players messing up with it, or maybe like that's not exactly what's supposed to happen, and now they're just resorting to that. Like, I have to assume that's what it was, because every single night, every time you watch the Pistons play, and for a team that runs DHOs as much as the Pistons do, for them to not have that nailed down, like, that is a focal point of what the Pistons do. For them not to have like just the technicality the form on how to run DHOs with how much they run it, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-blowing to me. There was a play with 4 minutes and 55 seconds left in the second quarter, and that's the play I was talking about earlier with Stu. I plan on going and breaking it down on Twitter. But there was a play where Stu catches the ball at the high post, and they run like an off-ball action for Cade to come off like a double screen coming from the corner, and he wraps around Stu with a DHO, and he's going to have his little 1-2 into a midi pull-up, or he can attack downhill and try to engage the drop defender. That's Brooke Lopez. See if he can get a drop-off to Stu, or if he can get probably a left-hand layup to go off, or maybe a kick to the outside corner. Just all those things. That's basically the play right there. You get Cade running downhill the way he has his pull-up option. He can engage the drop defender and decide, does he score, does he drop it off, or does he hit a kick out? Like that's the whole point of the play. However, they just ruin it. They don't know how to run it. I don't know if that's what it is, but they just bungle it up so bad that Stu ends up taking like a hezzy dribble before Cade comes around, acting like he's about to drive or something. And then when he realizes that's not going to work, Cade's already damn near at his hip now. So now the DHO that's destroyed. And instead of Stu actually doing a DHO, you know what? I'm close. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? Look, we're going to take this basketball right here. For all you guys watching on YouTube, we're going to do a live representation of what you're supposed to do with the DHO, all right? And I hope all you guys in the podcast can hear me. We're going to take this basketball right here, all right? We're going to take this basketball. When you get a DHO, you're supposed to take it right here, hand it off, and while you're handing it off, you still get the defender running into your hip right here. So when you do the DHO, his trailing defender is still coming around. It's not the trailing defender is not still attached to Cade's hip. You hand it off while still getting your hip into the defender so Cade can come off with a lead. That's what you're supposed to do, okay? That's what you're supposed to do. I gave you guys a live representation. That's what you're supposed to do. Instead, what Stu did, we'll give you another one. He stood right here, tried to do it in and out, and then when he realized that didn't work and Cade was already damn near at his hip, he did this. He did that right there. So I don't know, like, I don't know who's teaching. I don't know who's teaching these guys how to run DHOs, or if they just don't know how to do it still, or if they're just not good at it. Maybe multiple people are messing up. I don't know. But for the love of God, for a team that runs DHOs this damn much, almost every possession, guys, they're running DHOs. It can't be this hard. It can't be hard enough to do this. I messed it up. It shouldn't be this hard to do this. And then open up. Like, I learned this in high school, y'all. You put the ball on your hip, you hand it off, and you still get contact with the defender, and then you open up and you go. I don't know what this is. That right there, I don't know what that is. I don't know what flipping the ball. Flipping the ball to Cade right there did nothing. Because Drew Holiday, I think it was Drew Holiday or Javon Carter, one of the two, just flipping the ball to Cade and making no contact, not even trying to convince the guy that you're setting a screen, just flipping it and then running. All that did was keep the defender right attached to Cade, and there's nothing open now. Now there's two people in the paint. Both defenders are in front of both offensive players in the paint, and now the play is over. So, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's seriously, guys. Look, it's the most frustrating thing I watch happen during Pistons games. And the Pistons, this is coming from someone who was a Killian Hayes believer. I had to watch Killian go out there and shoot 10% every game. You guys think that pains me? Trust me, watching the Pistons not be able to execute a DHO pains me even more. It pains me to my core. Every single time I see them run a DHO and they can't properly hand the ball off and also make contact at the same time. If you're not that, this is what I'm going to say. This is what we'll wrap it up at, because I didn't intend on this becoming a rant, but it happens so many. This goes back to last year, bro. It happens every damn game, and the Pistons run DHOs damn near every play. If they can't run DHOs properly, if Stu is not going to be that great of the DHO role handoffer, or he's not good at setting a screen while handing it off. If maybe it's not just Stu, maybe Cade's not running off it how Cade or how Stu thinks he should. Or they're just not on the same communication. Whatever it is, whatever the reason is for why you get a flip on a DHO, if that's going to continue to happen, you have to just take the DHOs out the damn offense. Like, limit it. Because continually going to it, it's just, you know what? I love I would absolutely love if the Pistons would share what their DHO numbers are, points per possession. I have to assume it's the worst in the NBA. I have to assume it. There is no way that they're in the top half, top 20. Heck, I would take a bet right now that the Pistons are in the bottom 7 in DHO points per possession. But then I guarantee you guys that they're probably in the top 10 in DHO frequency. Like, it's crazy. It annoys me. It frustrates me every time too. I'm sitting just watching the game, and every time I feel like my heart just start beating fast. I just get so mad seeing it, dude. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. So that, in end, to wrap that up, the Pistons need to get better at DHOs. They need to focus on it. It needs to be a central focus in practice to get better at running DHOs and consistently make contact with the defender trailing, and to properly roll and be on the same page with the person running around the handoff. Just, it needs to be the center focus. If you're going to make it that big of a deal in your offense, please make it you have to make it a center focus in practice. I'm sure they're doing that. So hopefully at some point this year, I don't have to get up here and get my basketball again and start showing you guys how to run a DHO again. Hopefully that doesn't have to happen again. But anyways, that was quite the segment, huh? That one right there might go down the Locked On Pistons history books, man. That right there was a goated segment. I can't lie. Even when you're recording it, that's one of those ones where I can just look back. I'm thinking about it right now. I was like, okay, that was a goated ass segment. That was a good one, Coop. Gotta pat myself on the back for that one. But anyways, when we come back, Jaden Ivey is taking floaters. He took a lot of floaters tonight in this game against the Milwaukee Bucks. I want to talk about why he should not be doing that, especially from where he was taking it, when we come back. But first, you guys got to hear from some of our lovely sponsors. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. So Jaden Ivey was taking quite a few floaters in this game tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. And everyone who knew about Jaden Ivey before the draft, or if you've watched him at all since getting to the NBA, it's been known that the in-between game is his biggest struggle. It's his biggest negative right now. He's not only just shot making, but simply decision making and knowing what to do when he gets put in those situations. That's his biggest weakness right now, and that's something he has to work on. So do I believe that he needs to have a floater in his game eventually in his career to be able to counter teams trying to play drop coverage against him and trying to force him into taking those shots and make him work in that area? Yeah, eventually he needs to do that. However, not the ones he was doing tonight. Those ones that he was doing tonight should be outlawed and told to him that he should never, ever, ever, ever take those again in his NBA career. And it's a good thing, too, that this is a topic, because Pistons fans, I should say, should be pretty aware or familiar with what runners, floaters should look like and where they should be taken from, because they've had Derrick Rose on their team and they had floater god himself, Reggie Jackson, for a few years. You did not see Derrick Rose, you did not see Reggie Jackson taking floaters from beyond the free throw line. That's wild. That's just insane. That's ludicrous. You can't do that. When you saw them taking floaters, they took floaters from around 10 feet away from the rim. Usually they snaked the pick and roll and tried to get a little bit closer to the rim. They made the drop defender engage, or they kept someone on their back, and they tried to get as close as possible to the rim, and then they hit him with a floater when they know they can't get all the way to the rim. Not as soon as they come off the screen, they see the drop coverage, and you immediately go to floater. That's not going to work. And that was something that Jaden Ivey was doing a lot tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. First of all, not only is it a bad shot for him to be taking from that far, really, while he does need to incorporate like a floater into his game at some point in his career, like he needs to have somewhat of a floater, really, he's such a good athlete and he's such an explosive athlete that he really shouldn't even let teams shouldn't even get away with running drop coverage against him, because he should just explode straight into the big man and draw fouls and just use his explosiveness to try to finish over him or around him. Like, drop coverage shouldn't be effective against Jaden Ivey that well, in my opinion. They're going to try, the point of drop coverage, they want you to try to finish in between the long twos, pull-up jumpers, and floaters. They want you to do that. And usually that will work against guys who aren't that athletic. But oftentimes, like, if you watch LeBron and they do that, or if you watch like another explosive athlete, this is a skill that a lot of those guys have, and this is something that Jaden Ivey needs to develop and put into his game. But this is one of the best skills that those guys have, like LeBron have. They eat up space quickly. So if you give them a drop, and they do it against Giannis too. We just played Giannis. I don't know why I didn't bring up Giannis, but Giannis is he's probably the best in the league at eating up space. If you're going to give a guy that much space in a drop coverage, or if you're sagging off a guy that much, a lot of people say, oh, just take the jumper then if they're giving you that much space. No, eat up that space quickly. You're explosive, you're quick. Eat up that space quickly to where they're retreating now, and now you use your explosiveness to go over them, around them, or force them to follow you. That's what you have to do, and that's what a player like Jaden Ivey should do. He should eat up that space and force the defender to do something besides stand there, because that's what Brook Lopez does a lot, and that's what a lot of teams you see that will be playing drop coverage. The drop defender, he won't really take more than 3 steps. You got to engage him, especially if you're an explosive athlete. You got to engage him. You got to make him make a decision, and especially if you have the capabilities of finishing over him or simply around him. And that's something Jaden Ivey should do. So, yes, he should be at some point have a floater in his game, but really he shouldn't even really be using it a lot like that if they're going to play drop cover. He just explode and eat up that space. I think that would be the best thing he could do to his game. So, but I want to make this a focus. He should not be taking floaters from beyond the free throw line. That's psychotic. You can't do that. Get to the dotted line and then shoot a floater. Once you get around the dotted area, that's floater range. Taking floaters from beyond the free throw line is wild stuff. The only person I've seen do that and be successful with it is Steph Curry. And Steph Curry's floater from that doesn't even look like a floater. It looks like he's just taking a one-handed jump shot. So, and Steph Curry's also the greatest shooter of all time. So he's allowed to do whatever the hell he wants. Okay. Outside of that, don't do that. Just not something that should be in your game. Just explode to the rim. And if you do want to take a floater, try to get into that dotted area and make it easier on yourself. Next thing he should also work on with that floater is try making it not like a missile at the rim. Try to get some touch on it and shoot it higher. He shoots it like really straight line. A floater should not be that straight line. It should be a nice shot you push up and try to get some nice touch on and get some nice arc on. That's something else you have to work on. I'm sure he'll work on it in the summer, in the offseason. But yeah, I don't think in the offseason they'll be telling him to take floaters from beyond the free throw line. Outside of that, man, there's nothing really else I want to talk about from this game. Bojan had his first off night for the Pistons. He shot 5 of 12. And I said this, I believe, like a week ago on the podcast. Eventually, when Bojan crashes down back to like what his normal for him, which is like 40% from the 3, which, by the way, is still fantastic. And it's going to be efficient basketball either way. But when he just goes back down to normal Bojan good efficiency, I'm worried about what the Pistons will look like. Because if he's not out here sniping, looking like God himself, and Michael Jordan hidden in a, number 44 jersey, if he's not looking like that, I'm really worried about how well the Pistons offense will flow, because he is the main reason. Don't get it confused. Cade's been fantastic too, but Bojan is probably the main reason why their offense has looked so good and has flowed so well. And he is 100% the main reason why they're not towards the bottom of the league in three-point shooting. He has himself kept them around the middle of the pack defensively. He was or three-point shooting wise. He was shooting 50% from beyond the arc on a lot of attempts a game. So when that eventually goes down, like it did tonight, I don't know what the offense is going to look like. It's going to struggle. It's going to struggle a lot. But yeah, that tonight was your first look at what it would look like if he had a normal night. It wasn't even a bad night. It was just an off night. That's what you get right there. But that's all I've got for you guys really today. Cade had an off night, but not too concerned about it. The Bucks put a lot of attention on him throughout this game. They basically said, "You're not going to beat us again. We're not going to let you get to your little high post jumper." And they did a good job of doing it. There was one play in the first half. I mean, I don't want to go back to the DHO rant, but there was one play in the first half, and you really saw it. I'm going to try to find it and tweet it out. They run a DHO with Cade and Javon Carter, who was just harassing him the entire game. Javon Carter played a really nice game for the Bucks. He was just playing really hard-nosed defense, 94 feet, all up in his face. And especially against a defender like that, if you don't get great contact on a DHO, he's going to be all over Cade. And there was a play in the first half that it was exactly this. They went and run a DHO. Cade got a slither of space off of it, so he rose up for his high post jumper. But there wasn't enough contact gotten on that DHO, and Javon Carter was literally – I think he blocked it. I'm pretty sure he got a tip on it because he was right there. As soon as Cade went to load up, he was right there in his grill. And that's the importance of setting screens and getting contact on him, because if you don't, stuff like that will happen. The guys will be able to trail and knock the ball out your hands as you go up, because you think you're open, but a trailing defender can come by and just knock it out. So I'm not too worried about what I saw from Cade. The defense by the Bucks was really good, and they put a lot of focus on him, and he wasn't really helped by a lot of the screens. Eventually, though, you would like Cade to be able to, and I think he can now, but it's just harder to do against a fantastic defensive team like Milwaukee. But eventually, you'd like to be able to see Cade when he doesn't get a great screen, when his big guys do not set a hard body screen or get good contact, for him to still be able to shake these guys off of him and hit a tough shot. So that's the next step, I think, in his progression right there, is be able to do that without some of that stuff. But yeah, that's really all I've got for tonight's game, man. Don't freak out too much about a 25-point loss to the Bucks. They could be very well the NBA championship champions at the end of this year. So it is what it is. On to the next one. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. YouTube channel, Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Stay safe, everybody. Go Pistons, and peace out.